As a whole right now, I thought it was fun, but I wanted more.
I didn't go in with the highest of expectations for this. I wasn't like super excited, but I still wanted to give it a chance.
This is the Villainz Lair podcast. Welcome to the lair.
And welcome everyone inside the Villainz Lair on a Friday. So happy that you're with us. Hopefully some of you saw the Supergirl movie as that dropped last night, as we did, late night for Alvin and I. Again, Alvin with you, Ryan Young, your co-host. Alvin, how are you feeling this morning?
What up, G? Happy Friday, man. We missed you yesterday, bro. Obviously I had this interview with none other than Vinny Pacifico. He's a wrestler. I don't know if you got a chance to watch it.
I
If
did.
you didn't, oh, nice. Thank you for supporting this product. But you should check it out. But happy Friday to you, and let's get it on.
Yeah, I'm nice and caffeinated after getting home around 3 a.m. After a late showing of this film last night. We want to talk about that. Want to also say, dude, great job yesterday with that interview. That was a really fun episode. For people who even aren't just wrestling fans, so much more, geek culture conversation in that interview. So check out that episode with our special guest, Vinny Pacifico. We want to remind you guys that you can find that interview. You can find all of these episodes on wherever you download your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Amazon. Go check out the audio version so you have those on the go with you. You can always come to YouTube and watch the visual versions to see exactly what we're talking about. So many ways to never miss an episode out there for you. So there's no excuse.
Fun fact: Spotify has a visual version, so you can, if you're not driving. I know some people have it in their Apple CarPlay or whatever phone subscriptions you have, Android, whatever you prefer. You can watch it on Spotify if you're not driving. So
yeah, be careful. We promote safe driving habits
safe
because
driving.
if you're not around to watch the next episode, then how sad is that?
Oh, whoa, this got real dark.
This got real dark, real dark. But I also want to remind you, you can enter to win a free copy of Insomniac's Wolverine on the PlayStation 5. All you got to do is subscribe to the Villainz Lair on YouTube, then head over to Instagram, follow the Villainz Lair on Instagram, find the pinned Wolverine sweepstakes post. You got to like it and share it with 3 of your friends and fam. It's that easy.
So easy that while Ryan was talking about the sweepstakes, I was cleaning my glasses. So
yeah, just that easy. Yep. All right. So massive spoiler alert here. If you haven't seen Supergirl and you don't want to be spoiled, we're going to be talking full spoilers here. Then pause this video, go down to the theater, watch it, and then come back and check out our reaction to it and our thoughts. We're going to go full spoiler here. We want to talk about what we saw tonight. So we saw a 11:15 showing in the evening, which was a packed house, right? Full crowd, people dressed in Supergirl t-shirts and hoodies and stuff. Yeah. So it was an excited crowd. I mean, the people were going nuts in the trailers. So we had a rowdy, fun crowd for this.
The people sitting next to us, it was on my left. You didn't see them, but they were definitely super stoned and drinking Modelo's on the theater. So I got a lot of reactions going, "Oh no!"
Yeah. You gotta love the MacGuffin bars at the AMC's. All right, so we kind of teased a little bit on how the audience was reacting. What are your initial thoughts on Supergirl?
As a whole, right now, I thought it was fun, but I wanted more. And also, if I would, in one word, 2026 Supergirl, mid. That is my word for it, without getting into all the grittiness of it. If it came out in 2006, I would give it an A plus by far. But now that we're not getting a lot of these DC movies, even every year sometimes, that I was expecting more from it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I love that thought that if it would have come out, 20 years ago, it would be looked at much differently. I also felt that same way about Disclosure Day, but that's a different topic
Yeah, yeah.
altogether. Um, yeah, mid disappointing. I didn't go in with the highest of expectations for this. I wasn't like super excited, but I still wanted to give it a chance. You know, um, it just as I was watching it and going through, kind of the entire thing, I was starting to ask myself, I found myself bored at times, and I was trying to figure out why it wasn't connecting with me because there's some, it's not written poorly, although the drunk Kara gets old after a while, and I think you know crypto as a plot device is starting to get old now after Superman and Supergirl. Um, you know,
Don't tell Peter that.
yeah, yeah. Well, we just lost a follower. Um, it just didn't land. Like it was in some ways doing the same thing over again, and then it just didn't bring anything new. So I think that, but unfortunately, Millie Alcock online is getting a lot of hate for this, and I'm not sure if it's our 2026 the misogynistic fan online that just hates women, whether it's that or um it's just like this toxic geek culture at times. I just What were your thoughts on her portrayal? I thought she did an amazing job with what she had.
I thought she was awesome. I know you were talking about the toxic geek culture sometimes. I know, and going from that to seeing conspiracy theorists looking looking at her and thinking she's a reptilian, so that's like double hate with because of her teeth.
Man.
But man, it gets crazy. It gets crazy out there in the interweb. But anywho, that was just a side note of a thought. Um, I thought she had a really good portrayal of Supergirl. It was a lot different than the previous Supergirls, with the exception of DCEU's Supergirl, of course, but we never really got a chance to see, her version, Sasha Callie's version of Kara. It was just Supergirl. But all the other four, as you see in this picture, you've seen versions of Kara slash Supergirl, and the other three is very similar with each other, with their personalities and where they worked and so forth and so forth. Where Millie Alcock was, she had a kind of like she was a party girl, a loner party girl in the galaxy, and she had a different kind of attitude, and she did not have that bubbly personality that we're so used to with Kara. And Kara, they always made her like a stereotypical blonde. I'm fun, I'm bubbly. Uh, but she had like it was like a little bit opposite of her take. Like I was saying, she was a loner party girl. She still had like PTSD from Krypton getting blown up, and her relationship with her parents, and how she's not faring on Earth too much, and she misses her home, so that's why she has a drinking problem pretty much. But I really liked her take. I think she did the best she can with that role. I think her action scenes were superb. They really honed in on the sun and where she gets her powers from, and how she can be vulnerable at times too. but at the same time, she is still a very godlike female. So, you know, but we were really seeing more of a galaxy version of Kara. We didn't see an Earth version of her, so it would be interesting to see if she was actually interact interacting with Earthlings and humans rather than different species in the alien world.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, you talked about those more bubbly versions. This is definitely a darker take on Supergirl than anything we've seen before, even more so than Sasha Cali and Zack Snyder's
Yeah.
version of this character. Typically you look to the Snyderverse, and those are always the darker versions. But man, this version right here, you know, she definitely doesn't have Clark's no kill rule. That's for sure. So yeah, I the writing aside, some of the directing choices that just felt kind of cringy and corny. I thought that I have zero issues with her at all. And the character, the party girl, that kind of stuff, that was their plot device. That's how they got us into space. She left Earth to celebrate her birthday, kind of like a hot girl birthday weekend out in outer space. And that part I got and was interesting and was fun, and it got old a little bit, after a while. But I still think her take on the character was awesome. The fight scenes in this, like you said, were really cool. Some of the best moments are that final fight scene. That song not included, but it was cool, like showing her, use her powers and to the max, and we finally get her in her Supergirl suit, which was cool. So I have zero problems. I really wish the internet would chill with shit like this, and learn to celebrate,
Yeah.
things like this. This is a huge moment for her as an actress, and this character getting the spotlight. This is the first Supergirl film since the mid 80s, since Helen
Yeah.
Slater's film.
Yeah.
So, like, learn to support and celebrate. You can still be critical, but just don't be a douchebag, and don't be, toxic and disgusting. So I think it makes me root harder for this movie and for her personally, because I think the hate and some of this stuff is really disgusting.
No, I was definitely, yeah, I agree with you. I was definitely rooting for her. And I feel like a lot of hate towards Supergirl movies are essentially, look, it's a lot of girl power too. In this one, she's saving girls, she's teaming up with a girl whose family just got killed. So, I feel like some of these are fan base, obviously. The geek culture on the internet just wants to see alpha male superhero, which is fine, but you don't have to hate on this character. Not every superhero movies is gonna be loved by everybody. Things are subjective. At the
Right.
end of the day, things are subjective, but also don't hate so much in this actress and this character, because I really do think she did a great job.
It's okay to hate the movie. It's okay to hate some of the choices and moments in the film. That's fine. Just all I think we're both asking is to just not be a dick in on social media, and you know voice your opinion about how you dislike things. But there's no reason to like make these videos, posting about how people look and things like that. It's just really stupid, and I hate it.
Yeah.
Um, one of the things that the writers talked about, whether it was Anna Nagara or James Gunn, talking about how this film, one of the inspirations for it was True Grit, and I saw a quote that from Anna Nagara, the writer, that she watch the more recent version of True Grit, not the John Wayne version, and the one with Haley Steinfeld is the little girl, and she talked about how much she wanted a western like that, and that how Matt Damon's character influenced Lobo being in that movie. What did you think about Momoa's Lobo?
His like barely 4 scenes in that movie. I was he was definitely, he stole the show in that movie. He was great. I mean, you really, of course, Momoa would kill it as Lobo.
Mhm.
I love his aesthetics. I love his dynamic. I love his true gritness. And you can't really tell because he wasn't in it that much. He and even in the scenes that he was in for was very short lived, that I kind of wanted to see a lot more interaction with him and other characters that might be in the scene, but because Lobo is about being a rebel, right? But at the end of
Right.
the day, maybe possibly doing the right thing. uh I kind of wanted to see more of that. I wanted to see his rebel attitudes interact with other species and possibly humans. I would have loved, obviously, to see how he would like mesh with like characters from the Justice Gang if they were there. That would be really cool to have that
Yeah, him
relationship.
and
And
Guy Gardner, right? That would be a fun
right,
back and forth.
that would be great if he was having a conversation. I wanted to see more of that because the only conversation you really had with him was with either A, when he was getting a drink, or B, with Kara and Ruthie.
Uh-huh.
So
I thought they nailed the look. Like we've seen in the trailers, we knew that like the look was going to be awesome. It lived up to the hype in regards to that. His portrayal, I mean, he's just born to be this character and to play this role. It just fits his, kind of crazy bro persona in real life. And
yeah,
yeah, I thought it was super cool. I mean, his chain with the hook on it that he's using throughout the movie was so cool. So the props department killed it with that. I thought, his dialogue was written fun. I still don't know what he says in that one line. Like I know what I think he says, dits, but
he
man,
said
I'm
that.
telling.
Yeah, it was clear. It was clear to me with all those speakers and the IMAX and the surround sound quality of that, that he said dits this time.
Mhm. But man, like you hear and you just still kind of like, wait, what? Um, So that was fun. I just thought if you're gonna have like a supporting character and a fun cameo in a film, they nailed that with this. And I know that was one of James Gunn's specific requests in writing this because he's not in the Woman of Tomorrow storyline. So adding Lobo and helping build the world out, especially intergalactically, was Lobo was a big part of that. Um, I'm not gonna be so high on the main villain, Krem. A lot of people, are been killing it because him and his brood, they all look like Ravagers from Guardians of the Galaxy. You're not
Yeah,
gonna get rid of that comparison, especially with James Gunn around. I mean the from the makeup design, I mean it looks like they used the same makeup artist and I mean he looks like he stepped out of Guardians of the Galaxy. And fairly or unfairly, I mean, these guys are space thugs. Um, I get that there will be some similarities, but man, they did a great job of making him ruthless for sure. I was kind of shocked on um how eager he was to just kill characters in the film. But other than that, there's just nothing to it. It was just all, calories and no payoff.
yeah, kind of like a cinnamon bun I just ate for breakfast.
Yeah, empty
Uh,
calories is what I meant to say.
I yeah, man. I mean, I think you hit the nail right on the head. with the Ravagers comparison, uh, he doesn't come off, him or his crew doesn't come off as the big bad villains to me. They come off as uh at best henchmen. They are typical space thugs, rather. And I you know what? I did not see him as a threat, and and if it wasn't for environmental issues with the sun, they could easily be killed by Supergirl alone. And you did see that. You did see that at the end of the fight scene, that it took like nothing for her to destroy that whole crew. And yeah, I wasn't impressed at all. I was just hoping that we had more of a bigger bad. And I mentioned this in the beginning of the show. uh Listen, DC, you're barely coming out with movies every year. If you're gonna make one movie a year, you gotta make it spectacular, because and you gotta bring in your big names. There's no reason at all not to bring in big names in a big film, right? Why are we even bringing these like henchmen like type of big bads? And the whole point of Kara going after them is because they poisoned crypto. That's your reasoning. Obviously, the little side is helping Ruthie, but in hindsight, you're really going after him because you poisoned her dog.
Yeah.
So, you really could have brought anybody at all, a big name villain, and I think the movie would have been a lot different, and
So
it would have made a lot of people happier too.
right. So they've released Superman, right? And
Yeah,
so you have that movie, and then the next movie you bring out is Supergirl. I know we've had this conversation about like what is the thinking beside for releasing these films this way and not properly building out your universe. To me, the smart play would have been making this the HBO Max series. I mean, you already
yeah,
have Millie Alcock was in the Dragon series, right?
yeah,
And so she's already has a built-in audience on that streaming app. So you do that and you make Lanterns your next film, and you really give Hal the spotlight, and you introduce John Stewart. You make that the next film.
yeah,
And but man, it just, if you were going to make this the Supergirl film, this should have been down at least a couple years down the road. Like, to
yeah,
go, we're basically going Superman, Supergirl, Superman 2. Clayface aside, Clayface is like a small corner in Gotham
hmm,
City that it does not build out this universe. And I just think that is the weight that this movie is carrying, especially now looking at the projections for this weekend, 39 million domestic. That's going to hurt big time.
yeah. So who knows what's gonna happen now with the Warner Brothers Paramount merger, when they see these numbers and when they see the ratings on Supergirl is not well liked. I really do. I enjoyed the film. I really did. It just wasn't up to par with expectations, you know. And I know you brought up the Supergirl. Maybe they should have made it into an HBO show. Maybe they decided that they didn't want to because they had that CW version of Supergirl and they didn't want to go through that again. And also, with all that galaxy talk and her spending that time in the galaxy, can you at least can you at least give me Martian Manhunter in there? Because I was expecting him to show up somehow, or maybe have a drink at the bar, because those bars were tiny. It's a big, huge galaxy, and you give me a tiny dive bar.
Yeah. Yeah, they did. There was no like Star Wars, cantina music to like really carry those.
Yeah.
And
Oh, you know who else stole the show? I thought. I forget the name of the character, but that little guy, voiced
oh
by Seth Rogen.
yeah, the little bus driver guy.
Yeah, yeah, he was. That was cute. They'll
He was
probably sell a lot of merch from that.
Yeah, he reminds me of there's a bad baby guys in The Mandalorian.
Yeah, they do. Or also reminds me of the little alien guys inside the aliens in Men in
Men
Black.
in Black. Okay, so you said that if this movie was released 20 years ago, it's an A.
A
However,
plus, without a
A plus.
doubt. This would be an amazing movie in the 2000s.
Now it's 2026. What grade do you give this?
I would give this bona fide C plus. I like Millie Alcock, um, her version of Supergirl. I like Lobo. Did not did not like the journey to fight the villains or defeat the villains rather. And also we've seen a lot of out of this world galaxy creatures and actions and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I expected much better when you've seen things like a Men in Black and Guardians Galaxy first came out a while ago now, right?
Right.
And I would think this would like triumph all over that. See, I got this rating system with DC movies. I think I told you last night. I got this rating system where if it doesn't beat Shazam, the first Shazam, it's
Yeah.
not that great. And I feel like Shazam was much better than Supergirl.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I'm gonna tell the same line with you. I'm gonna say C plus. Myself, I think Momoa's Lobo, Millie's Supergirl are the definite highlights. Um, and they do, what they can with what they got. Like just kind of a standard run of the mill plot and a horrible villain.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I enjoyed it more than Superman. She's way better than I mean, and we didn't even talk about David Cornsweet, like making him just I get Clark is a dork, but man, they really, really make him look like a dork,
Yeah, they really
especially in
honed
this
in on
movie.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, this movie really makes him. I mean, he already is a guy. I'm going to give you a quick rant on the first one. He's already a guy that can't really get it right in the first Superman film, just can't really do anything great. And man, they just kind of double down and make him a dork, an absolute dork in this movie. And
Yeah. Clark Kent is a dork. Superman is not. You don't put the dorkiness in Superman.
so I don't have high hopes for this next Superman movie if they're still continuing to make him look like such a dork.
No,
But I'm gonna go
I
C
actually
plus.
like the Superman, but obviously it has some fixes we can possibly make for another Friday. But yeah,
That's a good one. We should
see.
do that one soon.
So I guess C plus it is for Supergirl.
C
Wanted to
plus.
really like it, decent enough for me to enjoy it. But will I watch it as soon as it comes out on HBO Max right away? Probably not.
Probably not. Yeah. At some point, but probably not.
Yeah.
So we talked about earlier, we talked about how Millie's version compared to the other iterations of her of Supergirl with the 5 Supergirls we've had in the past. It's Friday. Like to do fun things on Friday. Let's do it. We're gonna rip through some comparisons, and this is a Fight Club Friday where I want to find out which was the better version on screen, whether it was a streaming show, a TV show, a film, whatever. Which of these two did you prefer? All right. So the first one we're going to talk about is, Deathstroke is going to get his own movie now. We've seen a couple versions, the CW version and the streaming version with Titans. So you have Manu Bennett versus Isai Morales. Which version to you? And we're just going to kind of rip through these. Tell me who you like better and why.
Okay, the one on the left killed Ollie's mom, and the one on the right killed a bunch of Titans members, OG Titans members rather, and they had PTSD from it and dedicated a whole season on it. And they were really scared. Actually, they dedicated a season on the left one too. And funny enough, both Deathstrokes are season 2s of each perspective than each show between Arrow and Titans. But I'm gonna have to go with Titans Deathstroke for this one because he was like the way they portrayed him, man. He and the Titans was shook of him. Like I said, they
Yeah.
had PTSD from fighting him. He was just like the ultimate mercenary who could not be stopped. Not only he had the fighting capabilities, but he was always uh, one step ahead of every hero. So that kind of made it a lot more of a killer that is Deathstroke.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna agree. Isai Morales' version he's terrifying. He was the boogeyman for the Titans.
Yeah,
You talked about that PTSD. I think that the cool part in Manu Bennett's storyline was all the build up to becoming
yeah,
Deathstroke. That was the really fun part. And then so when he turns on Oliver, that was really cool. Like the turn and that part. But if we're talking about who's the better Deathstroke right here, unquestionably for me anyway, and it sounds like for you, Isai Morales on the
definitely Isai
Titans.
Morales. And
That
plus, he
version.
killed them cold blooded. When Manu Bennett's version killed his mom in a limo, surprisingly.
Okay, so another Fight Club we want to talk about, better version of the Punisher. So John Bernthal's Punisher, we're gonna see him in Spider-Man in about a month. He just had his um, one shot or special presentation on Disney Plus with John Bernthal. But Thomas Jane, man, there's tons of love for Thomas Jane's version. I'm not a huge fan of that movie. It has some warts that kind of kill it for me, but it definitely, there are people that are Thomas Jane truthers, and
Really?
yeah,
Nah, no,
big time,
that's new to me, dog. That is
big
new to
time.
me.
Who
Because
is it for you in this one?
the only thing I can remember is him being sad on that island and also killing Kevin Nash, who portrayed a Frenchman with his striped shirt. Remember,
Yeah, he
Kev
played a Russian. He was
Russian.
the
Sorry,
Russian.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Kevin Nash played the Russian, and he dyed his hair blonde, right?
And
That's
you
the one.
know the scene where he stabs him with the knife?
Yeah.
It was a real knife.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. I heard about that.
The
Yeah,
prop
yeah,
guy forgot to swap out the real one, and he hit him with it, and he just did the take and finished the take with an actual knife.
yeah. Crazy, crazy. But you know what? This one's an easy one for me because I have a lot of love for John Bernthal, and between the Netflix's version of the Punisher to him and Daredevil Born Again season 1 and the special presentation of Punisher, man, we talked about PTSD before. Boy, he still got it in this one. And he's really just way more violent, and it really shows the way they're showing it on screen too. So easily John Bernthal's Punisher, whether it's Netflix or Disney's version.
Better grunt all the way.
Better
Better.
grunt, yeah. Better hair too, actually.
Yeah, look at that pomp, man. He's got some really good pomade for that. He really
Yeah,
blow dries that thing out.
exactly. I'm sure the left cares more about shaving. Thomas
Yeah, he's
Jane
got just
shaves.
nicer leather gear, I guess. I
Yeah.
agree. I'm gonna go Bernthal here all the way. For me, just the probably the best scenes in the Daredevil Netflix series involve him, whether it's him
Mhm.
fighting Daredevil, whether it's that fight scene in the jail, and so many cool moments with him. His special presentation alone, it was so much fun.
The
I
diner
just
scene.
yeah, I mean everything about this version of the Punisher with John Bernthal works for me. His 2 seasons of his series were really good. So I think this is kind of a like a runaway no-brainer for me. I'm gonna go Bernthal. Batman,
Give the man an Emmy nod, by the way, to John Bernthal and the special presentation of Punisher. One
yeah,
last kill.
he's probably gonna get it for Gary, that that improv movie that they shot. That's like a bear spinoff.
Oh, I
So
didn't see that yet.
Yeah, he's definitely in the news. Speaking of in the news, Batman's getting an absolute Batman series. We know that the Batman Part 2 is shooting right now, but let's go to a couple of more recent Batman to compare. I want to talk about Christian Bale's Batman, which obviously the Nolan trilogy is so beloved, the Dark Knight trilogy, versus Ben Affleck, who almost feels like an absolute Batman when you look at just
Yeah.
how much bigger he is than every other version that's been of Batman that's been on screen. Which version to you is the definitive version or a better version?
Well, they're still both not blue colored, so they 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 weren't. If anyone comes close to that, I feel like it would be Christopher Nolan's Batman and Christian Bale, because at one point he was really struggling as training with uh when he first in Batman Begins, rather.
Right, because he
The,
was coming
the
off The Machinist.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
so I'm sorry, what I was trying to say, like, his training with the League of Shadows.
Oh, I see.
Um, one of my favorite comic books of all time, actually rather a novel, is when Bruce Wayne was training with the League of Shadows, and they never showed that anywhere on any types of films or in any movies. And this, when Batman Begins first came out, I was surprised that it came out that way. And I just love his whole journey. I'm not even talking about the rest of the trilogy. I'm just talking about Batman Begins. And
Mhm.
that really showed Batman to me rather than, Ben Affleck's version. So I'm going with Christian Bale on this one.
I will say that Christian Bale's films are undoubtedly the in the top tier. I'm a big Batman 89 fan, so for me that's up there as well. Affleck unfortunately doesn't have any films in that like kind of stratosphere or tier of ranking in terms of all the Batman appearances. However, I'm gonna go Affleck here because one of my
Wow.
favorite interpretations of Batman, favorite forms of media for Batman, is the Arkham games, and I feel like he is so much more like that version in the Arkham series. And that scene, that fight scene in Batman versus Superman, where he's in the warehouse and he's trying to save Martha, Superman's Martha. uh it, that felt more like the Arkham games than we've ever seen in any film. He was so badass in that scene, and I just feel like so many different moments. I mean, the fight with Superman, that sequence right there, is freaking awesome. So give me more Ben Affleck's Batman. I was really hoping we were going to get that Batman Deathstroke movie that Ben Affleck was going to direct. I was really disappointed we didn't get that. Uh, I'm bummed that the Snyderverse didn't continue because I didn't get more of Affleck's Batman.
Do you say that because you feel like Christian Bale's Batman was vulnerable to a lot of things?
Yeah, he was vulnerable to women. He right like
All of
um
them were. All even Tim Burns, Kim Base, Kim.
yeah, but I don't think like so those like he was obviously like a ladies man, but I don't feel like it ever like clouded his judgment in those series the way it did with Bales. Like he was totally into Selena Kyle, he was totally into Vicky Vale, but I it I don't feel like he made bad decisions based on his emotions
Well, he
in that
he
regard.
went he went to a psychiatrist in Nicole Kidman and Batman Forever.
Exactly. Yep.
Also, he fell a little bit for Poison Ivy too, I believe. So, but but Ben Affleck had mother issues. That was his vulnerability. And
Exactly.
when
Yep.
he met Superman, oh, your name's Martha. Your mother's
Mhm.
name is Martha. My mom's name's Martha too. Did we just become best friends?
Exactly. Yep. All
Oh
right.
yeah.
So the final one here, obviously, all all with Supergirl out, all the energy we have is going to be counting down to Spider-Man. So let's go a classic Spidey, Tobey Maguire versus the current one in Tom Holland. Which version are you taking?
Oh wow. This is a really tough one, man. Both are equally good in their own take,
Uh-huh.
except for Spider-Man 3, which ruined it for me. So I'm going with Tom Holland on this one. If it wasn't for Spider-Man 3, it would be a whole different story. But I feel like Tom Holland's version, they both had backstories, they both had a journey. Guess the only difference with Toby Maguire, if you compare and contrast, is the web shooting physically from his body rather than with Tom
And
Holland's version.
that
Uh,
might that might be changing in the next one. I'd be
that's true. I didn't want to spoil it yet. I don't want to spoil it yet.
it's in the trailer. Stop.
But we're just talking about Peter Parker Spider-Man here because I'm not even gonna go over the MJ versus Mary Jane thing or whatever. But I'm definitely going with Tom Holland in this one. He's like, he started off as a kid where Tobey Maguire felt like a man in a kid's body, and Tom Holland is really like, his personality is really honing in. You see him as a kid. He has
Mhm.
vulnerabilities. He's young-minded. He's just experiencing the world where Tobey Maguire thinks he's an old man already, but he's not. He's still
Right.
a kid. And that's the whole thing about Spider-Man. And I feel like also with Tom Holland, the way he talked, it was very similar to the cartoons and the comic books and the way he's talking to himself a lot while fighting the bad guys. And I felt like Tobey Maguire's version didn't really have that. And also to me, Tobey Maguire's version, what made him the Spider-Man character was his villains, which is the Green Goblin and Doc Ock, and that's what made him really Spider-Man. Where Tom Holland, he can basically come out with a Spider-Man movie and not have any villains, and you can still see him as Spider-Man and Peter
Yeah.
Parker, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
I'm gonna go on the other side of the fence here. I'm gonna go with Toby's version. I just think he really, shows that vulnerable side of Peter Parker better. And the Spider-Man when they're in the suits and swinging around. Obviously, uh, those are probably pretty similar. For me, just I have a soft spot for those Raimi films and just love that version. I love the Tom Holland films as well, but there is a stylistic side to the Raimi verse, and which we're gonna see here coming up in December. Once again, I just love that world. I love that world and the way Toby was such a big part of um, portraying that character and showing over the course of his three films, how Spider-Man
Yeah.
went from high school and growing up and just sort of figuring out life and they do such a great job with the bugle stuff. It's a little more comic accurate than Tom Holland hasn't even had like a job at any point where he's like taking photographs and selling them.
Right.
We don't have that version, and I feel like that's such a fun and kind of important part of Peter's development and his character.
Yeah, and that's why I said if Spider-Man 3 was never made, I probably would have picked Tobey Maguire because
Yeah.
Spider-Man 3 just ruined everything for me and Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. Like I literally deleted that off my existence and in my movie experience
Hmm.
because just like especially with Uncle Ben, the story arc of the way Uncle Ben died. Why we talked about this? Why are you gonna change it in the first place? So like that's what ruined it for me. Otherwise, I would have picked Tobey Maguire if they just came out with 1 and 2.
Yeah. Well, that was a Fight Club Friday, and that's gonna do it for today. But before we go, any quick final thoughts?
My final thought, can't wait for the Spider-Man movie. Hopefully it's better than Supergirl. Listen, I did not hate Supergirl. I actually enjoyed the movie in itself, but if DC you came out with 2 more movies this year, I probably would have enjoyed it more as like a side movie. So there.
Yeah,
No hate on
it's tough.
Supergirl. Yeah.
It's tough when there's just one. All the weight of the world is on that one film.
Right, exactly.
I agree. All right, everyone. Well, for Alvin, I've been Ryan. Thank you so much for hanging with us in the Villainz Lair, and we will see you in the next one.